how would I go about opening a store today if I was going to start again? Well, as it happens, I am actually opening a store this very week. I'm not starting again, but we've got a fresh new store opening. So I thought, what better time to talk about how I would open a store up in 2025, the later end of 2025. Let's find out. Now, yeah, as I said, as it should so happen, I'm currently in the middle of opening up a new store. I've gone into partnership with someone and we are registering a new company this week where we will be opening a brand new store from scratch. So the store's got no stock, no current listings, no current sales. It's brand new. So I suppose one of the places to start would be, how are you going to structure your business? So if you're going to open up a online selling business in 2025, how are you going to structure it? Are you going to be a sole trader or are you going to be a limited company? Now, perhaps if you're going to be if you're just getting into it, dipping your toe, maybe a sole trader to start off with. My personal choice is we have a few companies and we operate as a limited company. I find it's the easiest and most efficient way to run for tax purposes. My wife and I receive salaries from our business, and again, it's just something we can hand over to the accountant. They wave their wand and hand it back and say, there you go, that's all done. I find it the cleanest way to do it. That's not to say it's the way to do it. I'm not saying that the sole trader route isn't the way to go, but do your due diligence, have a look, see what works for you. But that's the first point. You need to work out what route you're taking, whether you're going to be working sole trader or a limited company. Next up, what's in a name? So what are you going to call yourself? Now, okay, if you're selling on the e-commerce platforms such as, Etsy, eBay, Vinted, I don't believe that your name's really that important, because people are not typically buying you because of your brand. They're buying from you because of what you're selling, your price and your feedback and so on. So, what's in a name? It really depends on your future scope for what you're doing. If you think that what you're doing is going to come outside of the e-commerce lines, and also I suppose if you're going into social media, it can also play into maybe social media branding. If what you're selling online, if you're promoting it elsewhere, then yeah, branding can come into play. But yeah, decide your name, pick something that you're happy with, and if it ain't, it isn't going to make your business at this stage. As it happens, we're going to be calling our business, I'm not going to tell you because we haven't registered it, and we actually have got a really cool name. And yeah, so I will tell you in the coming weeks, but again, not massively important. So don't spend weeks delaying your business because you can't decide on a name, because it ain't going to be what does it, especially in the early days of an e-commerce sales business. Right, next up, pick your platform. You can go for somewhere like, I don't know, eBay, Etsy, Vinted. There's even likes of New Monday and stuff like that in the UK now. I don't know much about them, but pick a platform and stay with it. Our personal approach is we've never cross-listed. We've actually always stayed either on an eBay shop or an Etsy shop. We've never crossed. There is software out there that can cross-list. Unfortunately, I'm unable to give any advice on that. I've never used it. I've always been a bit paranoid that it's going to mess something up, so I've never really used it. And to be honest, I've always been busy enough with my own stock. If we're not shipping sales, we're loading new stock online. Running multiple shops with the same stock, it's just never been something we've done. Again, not to say it doesn't work. I'm sure it does, or there wouldn't be, there wouldn't be an application for it. But pick one platform and focus on that. If you're going to cross list, maybe later on look at it. But just to start off with, get yourself rolling, establish yourself somewhere. So we have chosen our structure of business. we've chosen our name, we've chosen our platform. Now we better start going to work. So what are we going to sell? Now, if you are starting out and this is your entry to the business, then you've got a lot to learn. My advice, start small. In fact, when you're starting any shop, even if you do know what you're doing, still start small. You want to concentrate on the little sales, you know, £10 sales, £15 sales, no more than 20. You need to build trust. You need to build feedback. You need simple sales. You need simple turnover. You want to get yourself 100 sales in your business. You need to build some foundation. And bottom line is, let's say you start out with £200 and you go out shopping and you buy 5 items for your £200 because you spent 50, 40, 60, whatever. I mean, there's 4 items. Because you're looking at them and you're thinking, oh, I can double my money on that. That's all great, but you've just blown your budget on 4 items, and now you've gone home and you've sat there and you've listed 4 items that's going to take you 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, and now you sit there twiddling your thumbs until one of them sell. That's not the way to do it. The fact that you're a brand new store with high-end items in it or higher end items than usual, you're going to find it a little bit more difficult to shift them because you haven't got any feedback or any foundation there. Yes, so start small, little items, and to try and learn the trade. Try and learn a few names. Yeah, when I first started out, I tried to learn like the Royal Daltons and the Wedgwoods and the Ainsleys and the Paul pottery, and I worked a lot with potteries, and I just tried. £3 here, £4 there, oh that's £1. I'd just buy what I could, I'd bring it home, I'd research it, I'd list it. If it didn't sell, I'd learn a lesson. If it sold, I'd buy more. So there's plenty of learning to do, and you can learn on the job. But yeah, again, get lots of stock with little money, and you'll do just fine. So okay, you've got your items listed and you're sitting around waiting and you start getting your first sales. When are you going to post it? I think in the early days, maybe just post it out as soon as you can. Probably makes sense. But as you start to build more volume in post, we do a 3-day week. So my wife and I, with our stores, we post on a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday. We find that balances out the post throughout the week quite well. And yeah, so also put that in your listings if you can, because then it gives people some expectation of when they might receive your item. And try and stay on top of your posting dates. People don't like receiving their items late. That will go against you. And then the other topic on post, what are you going to charge to post? Okay, so this is one that I used to charge to post everything. Because let's face it, post isn't free. So when you get something underneath, it says free post, it's like, for the buyer, free post, brilliant. Psychologically, it's a plus sign. But for the seller, it's going to cost me money. Well, do you know what? I broke through that barrier a long time ago. We don't charge post at all on UK products. And some of my stores, we don't even charge post internationally. Yeah, I know. Look, once you get to a point where you can start understanding what post is going to cost you and you can start incorporating it into some of your costs, and you also understand that the psychology of someone seeing free postage on an item when they're about to click on you amongst everyone else can mean either you're going to get the sale or you're not. The other point is, I'm pretty sure that it also, I know this, it does bump you up in the algorithms. So having free post on your item will help to put you further up the listings. I don't know if that's true across all platforms, but I do know for certain it's true amongst some. So think about your posting structure. Again, if you're going to do free post, make sure you price it in, because otherwise you'll come unstuck. Remember, you're going to get fees, and remember you've got the postage fees to add into that as well. So one to think about. In the early days, have a play around with it, but don't come unstuck. How much will you list? Right, now In the early days, I don't know if you're doing this aside from your full-time job or whether you've got lots of free time, but the bottom line is list everything you've got. If you manage to bag yourself 50 items, try and spread it out over the course of time. So you do sort of 7 or 8 items a day. And if you can, try and keep a consistent feed of items going into the store. But bottom line, from scratch, if you've got nothing in your store, you want to build it. You want people to sort of have a look and see that you've got 50, 60 items in your shop as soon as possible. So yeah, load it as much as possible to begin with. The amount that listings can build up is surprising when you do a very small amount each day. And as I've said previously, just listing 5 items a day will give you 1,825 listings in a year. It soon racks up. Do double that, do 10 a day, 3,650 listings in a year. That's enough, depending on what you're selling, so long as you're buying right and selling right, that's enough listings to sustain a reasonably good store. I mean, our new store that we're setting up, me and the business partner that I'm with, we have agreed that each of us will add 5 listings to the store every single day. Now, that's a reasonable, it's a small amount, it's a reasonable amount, it's one where, you know, neither of us should have too much problem in meeting that commitment, because we both have jobs outside of this. Obviously, I run my own stores and he has his own business he already runs. But 5 listings, like I said, you can wake up an extra half hour early and you can get them 5 listings in. 1,825 listings a year. So 2 of us doing that, 3,650 listings a year. It racks up. If you wanted to go guns a blazing, go and do 20 a day, 30 a day. I have 50 listing days on some of my stores. So, you know, that's where it's at. It all boils down to, are you willing to put the time in to make it work? Because if you've got stock sitting around in boxes, it ain't worth a penny. Get it online. One last thing, packaging. Now, our stores, we send out reasonably high volume. We do recycle where we can. So if people do give us boxes and we do use them, and it's free packaging, so what's not to love? But we don't rely on that. We do buy in boxes, we buy in bulk boxes, and we probably have somewhere between 8 to 12 different sizes of box. Then we have jiffy bags, and sort of, we have all sorts of packaging. We try to buy packaging to make it as efficient as possible for when we're sending an item. If we've got an item there on the table, I mean, let me grab something here, look. Got an item on the table and it's that big. I don't want to be trying out 7 different boxes to see if I can make it fit. I just want to pull the appropriate box off the shelf, have it packed up in a minute or 2, ready to be labelled, on its way. Time is money, and if you're trying to mess about with your boxes, you know, time is money. Efficiency in packaging, in my opinion, is more important than trying to save a few pence on a box here and there. Again, we do it where we can, but it's not the be all end all. Efficiency number 1. The irony there being, literally just had a knock at the door and it's some of our packaging being delivered. I don't know what this is, let's have a look. This is right, boxes that literally arrived whilst I was talking to you. Just starting out, obviously, I'm not saying you need to go out and buy lots of different ranges of packaging and so on. If you are going to buy anything, I would recommend getting something like a 12 by 9 by 6. It's a pretty safe all-round box that will deal with most things quite easily and be within posting restrictions. So that aside, I think we've covered mostly everything I can think of. If you've got any questions, drop us a message. Yeah, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope, you know, we can give you some sort of guidance in, well, even a checklist. If you've managed to get a checklist away from this to, if you're thinking about getting into the business, then brilliant. I hope it can help Any questions, drop them in the box below. I'll see you again soon.